9.1 PTR is dripping with new information, new sources of stuff. Let's get into everything that we know of so far. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your news roundup for everything we know so far about 9.1. It has been a hell of a night. As you saw last night, I went to bed at 4 AM after getting started with 9.1. Very excited to see what Blizzard has on offer for us. And a lot of stuff here. Some of it you're going to like, some of it you're not going to like. Let's kick off with the big one, which is Blizzard is implementing their own Mythic Dungeon scoring system. They are implementing their own version of Rated.io. A little surprised on this. The last time I kind of spoke with Blizzard about this and spoke with Rated.io about this, Blizzard were kind of happy with the separation of church and state sort of situation they had got themselves into, which was that there's a lot of anger and angst in the community about Rated.io, and some people love Rated.io and absolutely adore it. And they were happy that a lot of the blame and the anger towards this system was actually head away from Blizzard. It was based at Rated.io. They were taking all the hate for it, while Blizzard kind of got to sit back and be relaxed. Now they're going to implement it. This is, again, it's surprising, but not that unsurprising. They tend to do this when an add-on becomes so widespread in the community that pretending it doesn't exist is just kind of stupid. We obviously saw this with things like Gear Score, the in-game calendars, all those kind of things came from add-ons that just got so widely adopted by most of the players playing the game that they decided we need to build it in. Now, the big reaction will probably be, is this going to kill Rated.io like it did with Gear Score? I happen to think not, although I haven't seen the system in-game yet. I really doubt that they're going to implement the kind of detail and features that Rated.io already has. What I expect to see is either usage of Rated.io will remain pretty much the same, or it will shift slightly towards the higher end. There's a lot of people who use Rated.io incorrectly. We all know that. We've all had that experience. However, the people who do use it correctly and use its other features actually get huge benefits out of it. They realize there's a big difference between having a good score because you did all 15s. What week did you do those 15s on? What were the affixes? Did you do this dungeon at a higher level or not? What did you deal with there? Was it tyrannical? Was it fortified? Did you deal with a much more difficult version of that dungeon than you'll get on other weeks? We all hear about push weeks, where the affixes actually are very relaxed. They're much nicer, but you still get the same sort of score. And the more seasoned players who are using Rated.io will be going, yeah, you have done a 15, but you did it when it was like essentially a 12. This week, this thing is more like a 17, and there is that massive variance in the difficulty and experience needed to have a smooth run based on how people did those dungeons. Now, will Blizzard implement that? We have had a statement from Rated.io. Blizzard did reach out to Rated.io to talk to them about it. They said they're going to implement a number of features that are already in the Rated.io add-on into the game. So we may see some history that will pull up when you mouse over the Blizzard version of this. It may be there. I suspect they won't go into too much detail like they did with Gear Score, is they want a nice, simple, really obvious to the user experience when it comes to this stuff. Instead of having, where does this gear come from? Is it optimal? Those kinds of things. Because what we had with Gear Score was people equipping tanking trinkets and healing trinkets on their DPS spec because it bumped up their gear score. And then people started getting wise to that scenario and trying to figure things out. When Blizzard implemented it, it was just an average item level, and instead they went the route of kind of forcing people not to wear that kind of gear or have their gear auto-swap to different stats, things like that. They solved it in a different way. I'll be interested to see how they come out with this, but it has probably been on the cards for a lot longer than it should have been, considering, obviously, in our tests of Rated.io, everybody is using it who's doing Mythic Dungeons. It's just absolutely everywhere. So we'll keep our peepers on it to see how it's going, but I really genuinely suspect Rated.io will be around for a while, and certainly at the top end, it would probably be the preferable tool to whatever Blizzard implements, so we'll wait and see on that one. We have seen that they're going to be doing some, obviously, upgrades to our character power progression. This is no surprise. They're working with the Covenants through this. They're doubling down on the Covenants, is what I've seen a lot of people saying. I actually think this is just bog standard stuff. We did have Blizzard asking not too long ago is, what do we do with these systems? And I think that's the situation Blizzard has got themselves in, is they based a lot of creations of systems on what happened in BFA. And now they have all these systems, and they're not quite sure what to do with them. They're here, they're kind of okay, they're not balanced or anything, but people have accepted their lot, as expected. They have chosen the most powerful Soulbind. They have chosen the most powerful Covenant ability. So what do we do with this system now? Because it's not, you know, it's not the most amazing thing in the world. So they've gone pretty bog standard with this. Not surprising. There are new, you can now implement another conduit. You will now get a couple more powers into your soulbinds as well. There's a couple of abilities here that they've put down. So Nadia will gain the Sinful Preservation, which grants you 50% health shield when you use a potion or a health stone. Clea's gaining a Spear of Archon, which increases your movement speed by 6% out of combat and gains you 3% critical strike for 10 seconds when damaging an enemy above 90% health. They're going to be trying to balance this in some way. What you can expect to see over the balancing of this will be iterated on throughout 9.1's PTR cycle, is that they'll try and take the one that's the de facto DPS one and probably try and mix something into the other two to help you balance it out. I'm not entirely sure why. The soulbinds are such a tacked-on system, in my opinion. We don't deal with our soulbinds. They don't do anything. It's not something that follows you around in the open world. You can't do any of that kind of stuff. That's how I wished they'd gone with the soulbind system, is really expanded on the characters and really made them feel like a part of your team, because right now they're just something that exists in a menu. Those characters are quite good in a lot of the leveling campaigns that you'll do, and I always refer back to Bastion here. Bastion did this incredibly well, making me feel connected to the soulbinds. Their stories are good. We may see some story stuff, but instead of it just being more power type stuff, and I understand why they want to implement more power stuff, I would have hoped that there was a bigger focus on character development there, making them feel like our souls are bound together, rather than being some sort of passive stat trinket, which is essentially what they are. But we will be getting some buffs and stuff there. I will do the math and all that kind of stuff later down the line. It's a little early to tell exactly if there's going to be something wacky and wonderful there. On that same note, they're doing Covenant-specific legendaries. They're quite interesting. They're making it so that using your Covenant abilities can have effects on other people and can really spread the power. I actually think this might be quite a dramatic power gain across a team. Now, the question that a lot of people are raising, of course, is, are we expecting that each major patch, so your 9.1s, your 9.2s, and your 9.3s, they're just going to introduce a new, more powerful legendary, so we just have to refarm it? Is that the system? Is that the way it's going to be? Again, the legendary system is kind of flat. The typical gamer mode, which is actually the correct way, in my opinion, is which one's the best one? I'll get that one. And I couldn't really care less that the others exist in any way, shape, or form. So is it the case that we can expect to see ourselves get into a cycle where each patch they just release a new and more powerful one, and that's your new legendary, to try and give some flavor to it? Or are they going to attempt to try and make a case for all the legendaries? I can't really see that paying off too much, given the nature of the beast. These aren't the Legion legendaries, where each one has some dramatic sway. And even in Legion, most people just got their best one and stuck with it. That's kind of the problem with the legendary system. When you have a whole variety of them, but you're limited to one, then you just get the best one. Now, this is setting up, and I would imagine this is actually the precursor to wearing two legendaries, likely in 9.2, maybe in 9.3, to equip two legendaries. And therefore, you would have the bonus to everyone else, or the bonus to a specific piece of content that you're doing, and your primary gainer, your primary DPS one, your primary healing one, your primary tanking one. This looks like the precursor to that to me, to get them set up with some variety that can be mixed and matched. A lot of the legendary recipes already have that synergy in place. They're clearly looking to have you equipping multiple legendaries later down the line. A lot of the legendaries, even if you just glance through them, they look way better when they're paired up with another one. So this could be interesting. It'd be nice to see exactly how many different variants they put in here. These are basically tier set bonuses from what I can see so far. This is their way of doing that, is to kind of bring in the tier set bonuses via this little system. So we'll see. I'm kind of curious as to whether they go with we're not putting tier sets back, but there are new legendaries which have different effects, which are more relevant to the content you're doing now. Wink, wink. Something along those lines, which could be cool. Usual stuff, of course. 40 new renown levels. Unsurprising there. Moving the max up to 80. They are throwing in a lot of cosmetic stuff in here. They're going to be more anima from World Quests. They had that recent World Quest anima achievement thing announced. New enhanced conduits, Covenant-specific Pepe models, mounts, that usual type of stuff there. Really quite cosmetic things. Let's talk about the raid then. So, yes, Blizzard. Oh my god. Interesting loot. My spider sense is tingling about how well this could actually go. So some of the loot has been data mined that is coming from the new raid right now. We will probably see something similar coming from the new mega dungeon, Tazavesh, as more items are data mined. We'll keep our peepers on that. But the one that caught my eye is actually Sylvanas' bow. Sylvanas' bow actually has something that alters your character's abilities. Yes! Yes, they did this trial all the way back with Unat in that raid, where they had some interesting affixes attached to weapons. So I'll read this one to you. That's the first one that's been data mined. This is Sylvanas' bow from the new raid. Replaces your kill shot as a hunter with Wailing Arrow, which deals 450 damage to your target and an additional 170 damage to all nearby targets within 8 yards. Change your kill shot into an AoE ability. Lesser creatures that are struck by Wailing Arrow are stunned for 6 seconds. So your kill shot will change to a new spell that also has some CC and some AoE capability. Yes! Very cool. Now, my next question, Blizzard. Can we craft and modify certain affixes onto weapons like a lot of games do? Because that would be really cool. I would be way more interested in Rayloot if it was a case of, I want this bow. I would also like to get another bow for dungeons and put some sort of different affix on it. Reforge it in some way. Perhaps the Rune Carver can actually do some special things with these items. Looking for extra recipes that make different gear sets and things like that I can mess around with. I could come up with a more appropriate build. Obviously, the ability to do sort of spread AoE and stun an enemy is not that useful for a boss. That's not that you know, it's not that relevant for that situation, but in other scenarios, really good. And I would way prefer this than the legendary system and something like that, where I can actually change my gear around and do something more fun with it, and actually get repeat items to do things with that as well. This is the kind of thing I'm really hoping to see. Right now, we only have a couple of things, so there's a quiver that is coming. Again, Hunter 1, which has an affix, which is every 5 shots, trigger Withering Fire, striking up to 5 enemies in front of you for 195 shadow damage. Again, a little AoE bonus that comes along with that to make that a little bit more suitable. I would really, really adore if we could actually start modifying our gear properly with different affixes and build sets. That would be magnificent rather than the predetermined stuff that we're used to getting. So big yes to that. More of that. Please allow us to tinker. Please allow us to tinker. You obviously have the ability to do this. Let us do it. That would be very cool. So some usual stuff that you're going to see there is the last 2 bosses in the raid, which will be Kel'Thuzad and Sylvanas. They do drop higher item of loot. This has become a bit of a staple. And mounts dropping in mythic difficulty. We are going to get the mythic mounts this time. It'll be Sylvanas' Dragonhawk Vengeance to go along with that. Torghast. Torghast is not available for testing new stuff yet. We have seen some of the new creature models. They're wandering around in the maw, but we have seen achievements suggesting there are new lairs. And perhaps, and this is really good, if you watched yesterday's Binding of Isaac TDP, based on the brand new version of Isaac called Repentance, a big part of that was me discussing the idea of multiple resources to manage within that environment and how important that is to roguelike adventures that Torghast is based on. There is some indication they may be putting in some new levels of resource management. Hopefully this isn't just another meta achievement, another meta collection, something like Stygia or something really dull like that, but actually a couple of things to manage within Torghast would be excellent and give that thing the breath of life. I still stand firm. Torghast can be great. Make it great. All the clues are there. All the evidence of what works exists. I'd like to see that. Now, not confirmed, but there are some strings which indicate bonus rolls may be returning. I'm not going to say too much more than that. There is some code there. We're going to link some articles down below, which seems to indicate that that might be the case, is that we are going to get bonus rolls back. I would be totally fine with this, especially in a world, Blizzard, where I could modify these items, and I'm not just, like, getting my first bow, and then I have to wait down the line for all the other hunters to get their bows before we can get extra ones. That would be really nice. I would be very happy with that. I would like to bonus roll. Bonus rolls are way more fun if I'm chasing an item I've already got. That makes the system even cooler rather than just to make up for shoddy drop rates. That would be excellent. So I've got immediate class changes. Now, I'm not going to mention too much on this because this is, again, likely to be iterated on over the course of 9.1, and especially when raid testing starts. Raid testing for the brand new raid begins on Friday. We will be... I think we're going to stream that and do maybe a stream pug, something like that, just to check it out and have a look inside. Obviously, I don't have a raid guild right now, and it's going to be my big determining factor as to what I want to do in 9.1. As you can see, we are investigating other games right now because if it's horrible to be reliant on World of Warcraft being successful for us to be successful. That's not a great place to be. So I'll be looking into that and I'll make some more information on that. But so far, some obvious candidates have been hit. Fire mages. Fire mages have become such a ridiculous staple, certainly in the dungeon system. Moonkins as well. And some nice redesign actually for the Holy Priest Symbol of Hope. So it gives raid and party members now morale. Recovering 60 seconds of cooldown on major defensive abilities. Really intrigued. And 12% of missing mana back over 5 seconds. We're looking forward to see exactly how that plays out. That's going to be very cool. I did mention in our little preview of Korthia, the brand new Maw Zone, that there is massive spoilers around 9.1 if you are interested in the lore. I'm going to mention a few things of the lore here, but nothing that's actually going to spoil you. But yeah, just be aware, we're not covering spoilers here. I personally have a problem with spoilers, as many of you know, so I'm not going to be that person to do that, especially as I'm not overly engaged with the lore in the first place, so it'd be out of place for me to do that. So new models for Sylvanas. She has some new shoulder models, which people are genuinely believing could possibly be the new Garrosh shoulders, some sort of rare drop shoulders that may come from there. Some revelations, I don't want to talk about that, that's a spoiler, but new Covenant armor sets to go along with things, and of course Thrall has had a model update to match the statue that many of you probably have seen. They made a new statue of it, and this in-game model is now reflecting that, which many suspected was the case, but the statue came out first. So those are the big news topics that are coming out with 9.1 so far. Everything here is something that needs further looking at. Yeah, the class changes will be ongoing. The Torghast stuff will be ongoing. The Covenant stuff will be ongoing. All these legendaries will be ongoing. But there are some big changes here that are going to be occurring. It's going to be new and fresh for sure. Whether or not that content holds up, we haven't seen the new Mega Dungeon yet, so hopefully when we could dive in there and get a feel of whether it's up to sort of Mechagon and Karazhan standards. Still plenty more to come with 9.1, but so far Blizzard are touching every little area and improving it, which is exactly what we wanted to see. Not rebuilding the wheel. Not exactly reinventing the wheel, sorry. They're not reinventing the wheel, they are taking the systems that are in place and, right, how do we make them better? So far, all looks good. I'd love to see your feedback, especially on the Mythic Dungeon thing. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think I'm completely wrong and it'll just kill Rated.io and just become the next item level average? Or do you think it'll do something else to the system? We'll have to wait and see on that. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.